What's up, YouTube? It's your pal Alchemix. I'm coming back at you. I know it's been a while, but I wanted to do today something I think is a little undercovered. It's going to be an honest and as in-depth as possible comparison between Traktor Scratch Pro 2 and Serato DVS. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with some turntable basics, setup and stuff like that that's universal to everybody. When you first get your turntables, what you're going to do to balance and weigh the arm out is you're going to set it up with the cartridge. You're going to put your weight on the back and you're going to adjust that until you can find a free floating place. It should kind of balance and hover right there, about level. And once you do that, you'll adjust the ring here on your weight to 0, and you'll put about 2 to 3 grams of weight on your cartridges. It could be more, it could be less depending on the cartridges, but these ortophones, which are very standard in the industry, they take 2 to 3 grams. And once they've broken in, a lot of people will actually let them play when they are brand new all night long. They'll just let it run that inner track for 12 hours. And once they're worn in and set, these ortophones, they stick to records like glue. They're great DJ needles, and they do seem to be kind of the modern industry standard. Now, as scratch DJs, we typically don't want any elevation on the arm, so usually we have that set to 0 unless you stack a bunch of slip mats or something. The idea is you want the arm to be pretty much level with the platter itself, and then 0 anti-skate if you're a scratch DJ. That just gives you problems. That's more for audiophiles and stuff that are just trying to listen to their tracks. So, Traktor. We're going to start off with Traktor because it's what I have set up right now. Traktor is pretty awesome in my opinion. There are positives and negatives. First thing you'll notice, and what a lot of DJs assume they can never live without, is Serato uses those stacked waveforms. They're right on top of each other if you want to set them up that way. It's really easy to visually sync your music, and that is a plus, especially if you're just beginning and you're not super good at beat matching by ear yet. So that's probably the first thing you notice. Now when you get into Traktor, it's pretty awesome. This right here basically auto-calibrates for you. I don't know if you can really see that, but it took me a pretty decent amount of time researching and playing with settings in Serato to really dial it in and get it calibrated right, whereas Traktor pretty much right out of the box sets it up for you. And I won't lie, one of the biggest advantages of Traktor, in my humble opinion, right out of the box, it tracked better than Serato DVS after I spent weeks learning how to set it up and dial it in as perfectly as I possibly could. So I will say that, end of the day, in my opinion, Traktor hands down tracks just a little better. It's not an amazing, huge difference, but it does track better as far as it goes. I mean, I really feel the control I have on these Traktor vinyls is better. I can say that I did spend, a couple months scratching the heck out of my Serato vinyls. They might not be as, fresh and squeaky as these bad boys, but there was just something about it. I noticed it instantly, right out of the box. No setup, no calibration. These things, they track better. And I'm not gonna be able to have somebody convince me otherwise. But it's not enough for me to get rid of Serato. I love Serato for a lot of different things. Weddings, when I want 4 channels and to be able to queue up my music and stuff like that, it is really handy. Something I love about Traktor that I learned more about through YouTube and it got me interested is these little bad boys here. Now this is just a 2-channel controller. I got a Traktor Z2, but it also lets you control virtual decks, and I use remix decks, which basically gives you 4 mini channels that you can break down like stem files to remix live, and it works great. Let me give you an example of doing a quick redrum here. Now I'm going to take the bass line out of the track that's playing and I'm going to replace it with a remix deck bass line. Now I've killed the volume completely on the track. I'm just using remix sounds here just to give you an idea. So I think that gives you an idea of some of the features that makes Traktor enticing to a lot of us DJs. It definitely makes live remixing and that kind of stuff easier than ever before. One other thing I dislike about Traktor, there's no real way that I found down here to enter straight into your files from their software. You pretty much have to import everything from the setup in your file management. It's a little bit more of a pain in the butt. Serato definitely just basically auto imports everything and organizes it very well, but if you ever want to bypass that and go straight into your files, there's just a little button right here that lets you do that. The library management seems good. I can still find all my music and stuff like that. I don't have any troubles there. But yeah, overall, my biggest attraction was definitely those remix decks. They're awesome. They auto clock to whichever deck you set as master. It's just a real cool, easy setup for DJs that like to go out and do a lot of live edits and stuff like that. So Traktor is great. This is more about hardware, but I will say Z2 is great. It's amazing for what it is. However, the build quality is definitely not quite on the level of the Pioneer equipment that I'm used to. Just minor gripes, but the feet weren't glued on, so it had a little bit of a wobble when I set it down. I had to just kind of crush up a little piece of paper I keep under this one foot here so that it doesn't wobble on me. And the only other one I noticed that kind of bothers me, I don't even know if you can really see it, but this one here, it's just a little bit past the 12 o'clock, and that's its detent there. It's again, just kind of assembly quality. But yeah, if one of your EQ knobs doesn't line up a little bit, you know, it kind of gets tricky. Like, again, I could probably open it and fix that, but I would prefer that my equipment just comes built as perfect as it should be. But I can't really complain, because realistically, the price of the Z2 compared to an S8 or something like that just made this so worthwhile. Like, what it does for the price it was, like, the Z2 is an incredible battle style mixer, which is what I wanted, but it still has all that digital control. So yeah, that's pretty much my quick cap on Traktor, and we'll come back at you in a little bit with some Serato DVS comparison. Thanks for hanging in there. Alright guys, we're back. I'm going to do a quick look at Serato now. But as long as we're on it, I'll keep throwing out some kind of universal turntable tricks and tips. These bad boy right here, called Sight Savers, are basically just pre-packaged eyeglass wipes. I buy them in these boxes, 50 count. It's a great tool to keep your vinyl clean, make sure that you're going to be tracking. Basically just, these things obviously attract a lot of static electricity, a lot of dust, a lot of lint bunnies and whatever. This is a great way to help clean up your vinyls. It's also a great idea to keep a little soft bristle brush and go ahead and clean off the ends of your styluses. The whole idea here is that we want to give this the best chance at tracking perfectly as possible. Here's just a little warning to all you guys. If you want to go down this road, if you're going to pursue DJing, this is what happens eventually. Eventually you have gear just spread out all over the place and you're tripping over it and you're trying to dial in new DMX controls and it gets out of hand. So just be aware that this shit can take over your life pretty quick. Alright, so Serato. Why do people use Serato? It's really amazing, that's why. The functions that it has that really do outshine Traktor, without a doubt, the beat gridding is more flexible. It allows you a lot more opportunity to actually go in and beat grid older songs that had a live drummer. Anything that didn't keep perfect tempo, it can throw off your effects, it can make it hard to beat match. And Serato has more adjustability and real tight-knit programming to help you do that than any other software out there that I know of right now. Aside from beat gridding, they also have a big advantage with pitch and time. The add-on pack, pitch and time, without a doubt, it is very far ahead of the game when it comes to their key detection. If you're interested in making sure everything is phonically correct and making sure your transitions are just buttery smooth and everything is pitch locked and everything is BPM accurate, you're going to have a big advantage with pitch and time because it just happens to be more accurate. Common key detection software is usually in the 50 to 65% range of accuracy, whereas pitch and time, I believe, is closer to 80, 83%. It's just simply better, and it really does allow you to really warp your BPMs and stuff like nobody's business and it still have good sound quality. So they do have that, and we talked about this before. They have their nice wide stacked waveforms, and I love the heck out of them. I still use those to this day. Very colorful, really nice layout. I do actually like this better too. You can see here, if you want to choose between absolute or relative, it's all here in a little drop down file, very clear. In Traktor, it's a little bit confusing if you don't know the icons and stuff. They don't have it labeled like they do here. Obviously, a setup like this, it's going to allow you to have more digital control, more MIDI control than you would have with just the Z2. However, if you're really into all the extra bells and whistles, you can get Traktor S8 and add turntables to that, and you're pretty much set to go. You can have every feature that you could want out of your digital software and still have your vinyl control. The only other thing I guess I can say, it's not really a positive or negative to either Traktor or Serato, but both of them have excellent effects, and most of them are just named different between the two softwares. You can find an equivalent of just about any effect in Serato, in Traktor, or in anything in Traktor and Pioneer. You just kind of have to know what the difference is between the two names. Echo, for example, is a Serato simple effects that in Traktor the closest thing is something called delay T3. So there's probably videos out there that show conversion charts and stuff like that. but that's something you can go do a little more research on your own. Here in Serato, I talked earlier a little bit about setup, and I actually have another video out there that's dedicated just to setup and dialing in, calibrating your decks in Serato DVS. So I won't go into that too much, but basically if you don't come in here and know how to adjust and get everything set up just right before a show, what I've noticed is, especially your two decks that are hooked to your DVS 1 and 2 here, it'll actually pick up the time code from the other vinyl while it's spinning, and these tracks will slowly start to inch forward or backward. And in the latest Serato DJ upgrade 1.6 or whatever we're at now, they have made improvements to this, but if you don't know how to set it up and dial it in, it can be a huge headache and just make transitions and beat matching near impossible. So that's something to be aware of. Just know that if you got Serato DVS, you also need to take the time to learn to dial it in and set it up properly before each show that you're using DVS at. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm just going to bring up a simple break beat, and I'll re-drum it and just play around with it a little bit. You'll see here, though, that's going to use 3 of my 4 channels to do that, which is just not as easy to remix and do that kind of stuff here with Serato as you do with as you can do with Traktor and the live remix decks.
This is how it should be done.
So there you have it. Essentially with Serato, you get excellent software. It's a great place to start. But the deeper you get into really manipulating sound and creating and recreating music, there's definitely some awesome features on Traktor that are very attractive to DJs that prefer to really play with and manipulate their sound. I can't really say that one is better than the other. However, if I'm doing a battle style hip hop house party kind of gig, I'm going to take out Traktor and I'm going to really, be able to have that tight control on the DVS and feel good about juggling any stuff like that. Whereas if somebody has a really fancy wedding where they want the turntables, they want everything, the bells and whistles, I really love having Serato because it has a lot of features that make it easier to really queue up longer playlists and have everything just kind of laid out and ready to go. I wouldn't trade one for the other. It's one of those things now that I am familiar with both. I love them both, and it's just a nice thing to have more options and tools for creativity. That about does it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up, and I'll do my best to let you know what I know. And yeah, I just love you guys, man. You're great. Love you, YouTube. Keep spinning, keep making music, keep having a great time, and yeah, let me know if there's another software out there that you think is great too that also does timecode vinyl, because I love the shit. All right, guys, have a good day. Peace.